Welcome to another edition of the Presbyterian Show, a show designed to entertain you whilst educating you on everything Presbyterian. Today, we're looking at the history of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana, how it all started, those who were involved in it, the challenges they encountered, the successes that they chalked. I'll be doing this with a very fine gentleman known as Kwesi Ofe. Kwesi Ofe, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for having me. I'm proud and excited to be on the Presbyterian Show. So we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll dissect the history of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana. Stay tuned.
This is a voice sampled for Ed Music Studio. As part of our strategy to meet the vocal requirements of our most cherished clients, we have sampled different voice clips to aid clients appreciate the clarity of our voices and our delivery styles. Check out our other voice samples and pick what suits your brand the most. You can reach us for your jingles and voiceovers on 0244-207-397 or 0271-223-444 or 0302-327-039. Thank you for listening.
Welcome back. So the name Presbyterian Church of Ghana comprises three words: Presbyterian, Church, and Ghana. But of course, you can ignore the off. So Presbyterian Church Ghana. Kwesi, can you help us to understand what these three words mean? So the word Presbyterian comes from the Greek word presbyteros, meaning elder. So the Presbyterian Church government is an elder-ruled church. Now, if you look at the New Testament in 1 Timothy 5:17, it says that the elders who direct the affairs of the church are worthy of double honor, especially those who work in preaching and teaching. So basically what this means is that the Presbyterian Church is an elder-ruled church. That's basically what Presbyterian means. It means an elder, and it comes from the Greek word presbyteros. Excellent. So the name or the nomenclature, that's the Presbyterian Church of Ghana, has undergone a lot of changes. Now, it started as the Basel Mission, then later it was changed to the Scottish Mission, then it was changed again to the Presbyterian Church of the Gold Coast, and then finally the Presbyterian Church of Ghana. So it happened that the governor of the Christianborg, who went by the name Major Richelieu, observed a lot of immorality around the Christianborg fort. So what he did was to seek for missionaries to be sent to the Gold Coast to help deal with all these immoral lifestyles of the Europeans that affected the natives at the time. So on the 18th of December 1828, the very first 4 missionaries arrived at the Gold Coast. Now these are Basel missionaries who had arrived at the Gold Coast, and they were one, Karl Bach, Johann Schmidt, Gottberg Headcourt, and Johann Henke. And guess what happened? After 18 months of working here in the Gold Coast, 3 of them passed. Very sad. Now, subsequently, that's 2 years afterwards, Johann Henke, who had survived the first 3, also passed. Very sad. Let's observe a moment's silence for these brave missionaries. May the souls of these brave missionaries rest in perfect peace until we meet again. Now, after these first 4 missionaries passed, a second batch of missionaries arrived at the Gold Coast somewhere March 1832. Now, they were one, Dr. Frederick Hens, Peter Peterson Jager, and Andrews Rees. Now, the whole idea of allowing a doctor to be part of the missionary team was to take care of the health needs of these missionaries. But guess what? The very first missionary to pass was Dr. Hens. So sad. So Peter Peterson and Andrews Rees were the only ones who were left as missionaries at the Gold Coast. But it's sad to say that Peter Peterson also passed. May his soul also rest in perfect peace. Yes, so 4 missionaries sent initially had passed. 3 of them that came subsequently, 2 of them had passed. Andreas Rees also fell sick and almost died. But God being so good, he was saved. A native doctor helped him to recover from his ailments. Now, what caused the deaths of these missionaries was malaria. The weather was also not too good for them, and they kept catching cold, fever, and all that. So that's how they passed. But the native doctor was able to use his native tactics to help Andrews Rees to survive the fever around that time. And whoever said that native doctors are not potent to help eradicate ailments in this country. So, folks, when Andrews Rees regained his health, he decided to travel to Ekropon just for a visit. And when he got there, he loved the environment. He loved the weather. And guess what? Even though he felt sick, okay, he was able to recover because the weather, the people, as well as the native doctors around were able to help him to get better. So he loved Ekropon, and the people of Ekropon also loved him so much. The then king of Ekropon, Nana Addo Dankwa, also embraced him wholeheartedly. So Andrews Rees stayed or lived at Ekropon for a very long time with the intention of helping to propagate the gospel. Moving to Ekropon was also an opportunity for Rees to rid himself of the bad influences and the immoral behavior of the Europeans and the natives at the Gold Coast. You know, the people of Ekropon had not been too influenced by the Europeans who were at the time at the coast of the Gold Coast. Do you get what I'm saying? The whole idea is this, but because he was in Ekropon, which is a bit far away from the coast, the inhabitants of Ekropon were not influenced by the immoral behaviors of the Europeans at the coast. So it was a good opportunity for Andreas Rees to propagate the gospel. Now, it's important to state that Andreas Rees' stay in Ekropon was not sanctioned by the Europeans. Andreas Rees was so comfortable that he was able to build a house for himself in accordance with the native style. So the people of Ekropon named him Osiadai. As much as the stay of Rees was not sanctioned by the Europeans, the board of the Basel Mission were so encouraged by the exploits of Andreas Rees, such that they sent 2 additional missionaries to the Gold Coast to, in a way, assist Andreas Rees in his endeavors. Now, these were Johan Mettler and Andreas Stranger. Now, these 2 missionaries arrived at the Gold Coast with a lady named Anna Walters. Now, Anna Walters later became the wife of Andreas Rees. But guess what? 11 months down the line, these 2 missionaries also died. So it was we're just left with Andreas Rees and Anna Walters. By that time, they were husband and wife. Now it's getting pretty frustrating for the Basel missionaries. Almost all the missionaries that have been sent to the Gold Coast had died. Now, the only person alive was Andreas Rees, and of course his wife, Anna Walters. Do you have any idea why this Basel missionary board will be frustrated? I guess the high mortality rate was a problem. And I guess they believed that this was a sign from God that the Gold Coast was not ready for the gospel. Because if 12 years down the line, every missionary except Andreas Rees had died of malaria and fever, then there is really cause for concern.
Exactly.
So the board of the Basel Missionary decided to recall Andrews Rees. And it made sense because all the missionaries that had been sent to help propagate the gospel had all passed, remaining Andreas Rees. Now, during the Durbar to bid farewell to Andreas Rees, the king of Ekropong Ikwapim, Nana Addo Dankwa, said something very interesting to Andreas Rees. I'll tell you about it after this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. So like I said, during the Durbar to bid farewell to Andreas Rees, Nana Addo Dankwa the first said to Andreas, when God created the world, he made a book for the white man and he made gods for the black man. Now, if you are able to point to me any black man who can read your book, myself and my people will follow you. Onyankopon bo wiase no, obo nhoma ma obroni, and obo abosom ma yen ebibifo. Na otubi kyerɛ me obibini a otubi kan mo nhoma na me and me manfo yebedi wachi. That was really food for thought. But the Basel missionary also hatched a plan. The plan was to bring Negro Christians from the West Indies, that's the Caribbean, to Ekropong. And a new team accompanied Andreas Rees and his wife, Anna Walters, to Jamaica to get missionaries to accompany them to Ekropong Ekapem. So the team arrived at the Christianborg somewhere around 16th of April 1843 with about 25 inhabitants of the Caribbean. Now, their arrival marked the rebirth of Basel missionaries' work in the Gold Coast. After a few days' stay at the Christianborg, the group moved to Ekropong. Ekropong then became the nerve center of the missions work. On their arrival at Ekropong, the group found that the mission house that was constructed for Rees had dilapidated, but they were not discouraged. So the team rebuilt the dilapidated structure that was constructed for Andreas Rees. They also built stone houses for the West Indians. Now, the very first mission station was established in Ekropong at the time. The missionaries established schools to educate their own children. And guess what? Some of the chiefs and the people also brought their children to be educated in those schools. The West Indians introduced mangoes, cocoyam, avocado pear, groundnuts, oil, and many other local foods in the economy. Guess what? History was about to be made. Guess what they did? They cultivated cocoa. The West Indians were the first to cultivate cocoa in this country. But interestingly, Tete Kwashi is credited as a person directly responsible for the introduction of cocoa crops to the Gold Coast. Well, see, Tete Kwashi was also an apprentice in the Basel Missionary Workshop as a teen. So between Tete Kwashi and the Basel missionaries, cocoa has become one of the leading and major export crops of the Ghanaian economy. So I guess whether it's Tete Kwashi or it's the Basel missionary, the most important thing is that cocoa has been a blessing to the Ghanaian economy. After 16 years of missionary work, still no single person had been converted. The good side was that a number of school children had been educated. So in all, about 70 children had been educated. But lo and behold, 2 people were baptized on the day of Pentecost. Say amen. Amen. The very first theological seminary was started in Ekropong somewhere 1847 with 4 students, 1 a West Indian and 3 native young men. The missionaries also developed the vernacular. The development of the vernacular was intended to help propagate the gospel in the local dialect of the people. It was a deliberate policy by the Basel missionary. So now successes were being chalked by the missionaries. Lots of schools were constructed in Ekropong and Osu. Stations were built all over the place, from Ebri to Latte, Odumasi, Abetifi, Abokobi, Chebi, and later Ashanti, Yendi, Salaga, and other parts of the north. The Basel missionaries sadly left the Gold Coast during the First World War in 1917. The work of the Basel missionaries was taken over by the Scottish missionaries. So in September 1926, the Synod, now the General Assembly, was held at Abetifi and adopted the name the Presbyterian Church of the Gold Coast. About 30 years later, after the independence of Ghana, the name was changed to the Presbyterian Church of Ghana. Presbyterian Church of Ghana has 4 courts, namely the Congregational Session, the District Session, the Presbytery Session, and the General Assembly. So in terms of hierarchy, the General Assembly is the highest and the Congregational Session is the lowest. The official newspaper of the church, that's the Christian Messenger, was established by the Basel missionary somewhere 1883. The denomination's sister church is the Evangelical Presbyterian Church, that's the EP. The Evangelical Presbyterian Church of Ghana was founded by German missionaries somewhere 14th of November 1847 in Peki in the Volta region. So in respect of leadership, the Presbyterian Church of Ghana has the moderator of the General Assembly and the clerk of the General Assembly. Of course, there are other directors who head other departments of the church. The moderator is seen as the general overseer or the chairperson of the General Assembly. A serving moderator uses the title the Right Reverend, whilst a retired moderator uses the title the Very Reverend. The church over the years has had 19 moderators. The very first moderator is Peter Hall, who was in office from the period between 1918 to 1922, followed by Nathaniel Asare from 1923 to 1924. So, question of A, over the years, we've had moderators such as the Right Reverend Senti Misa, the Right Reverend Frimpong, Right Reverend Bekong, Right Reverend Sam Prempe, Right Reverend Yao Frimpong Manso, Right Reverend Emmanuel Mate, and currently we have the Right Reverend Abraham Nana Opare Kwachin, who took office in 2023. Now, when it comes to the clerk of the General Assembly, we've had a number of them. I think we've had about 14 or so clerk of the Assembly. The very first clerk was Nicholas Timothy Clerk, who took office from 1918 to around 1932. He was followed by Reverend D.A. Aqua, then Reverend Obain, Reverend Carl Henry Clerk. We've had Reverend T.A. Osei, Reverend E.S. Mate Kojo. We've had a number of them. And recently, or currently, we have the Reverend Godwin Ninoy Odonko. Now, the logo of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana is very unique. It represents three heritage: the Basel Mission, the Scottish Mission, and the Ghanaian Mission. Let's take a break. When we come back, I'll tell you what each represents. Stay tuned.
This is a voice sampled for Ed Music Studio. As part of our strategy to meet the vocal requirements of our most cherished clients, we have sampled different voice clips to aid clients appreciate the clarity of our voices and our delivery styles. Check out our other voice samples and pick what suits your brand the most. You can reach us for your jingles and voiceovers on 0244-207-397 or 0271-223-444 or 0302-327-039. Thank you for listening.
Welcome back. Now, as I indicated, the crest of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana symbolizes the triple heritage of the Basel Mission, the Scottish Mission, and the Ghanaian Mission. Now, look at the crest or the logo very well. Now, you'd see a white cross on a red background. This symbolizes the Swiss cross, and it represents the Basel Mission. The X cross on a blue background is the St. Andrew's diagonal cross, and this represents the Scottish Mission. The green palm tree in the middle is the contribution of the African, and this represents the Ghanaian Mission. Now, at the bottom of the logo, you'd see an inscription that they all may be one. That they all may be one. Now, this comes from John 17:11. John 17:11. This expresses the essential unity of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana. The church, over the years, has contributed immensely to the socio-economic development of Ghana. One can mention schools, hospitals. The church has embarked on agriculture, business entrepreneurship, and a lot more. In fact, the Presbyterian Church of Ghana has been a blessing to this country. So folks, we have dissected the history of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana. We've looked at where the church started, the challenges the church encountered, the deaths of a number of missionaries, and I believe that you've been educated. And my guest here has also made some very insightful comments on this historical background of the church. Exactly. Kwesi Ofwe, thank you very much for honoring our invitation to be on this show to discuss the history of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana. Your being here has been a blessing, and we thank you so very much. So it is without a doubt that the establishment of the church, that's the Presbyterian Church, started with lots of challenges, with the deaths of these missionaries, from malaria, fever, and whole lots. But currently, we have a church, a very formidable church, that has been a blessing to the states. The church has established schools, hospitals, like you just said, from the crèche level to the tertiary level. And I think, like I keep saying, that the church has been a blessing to this country. And I'm so excited to have been invited to partake in the discussion of the history of the church. Thank you very much. So we'll meet again next time. This has been the Presbyterian Show. God bless you till we meet another time.